Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video. If you're new here, my name is Emeka. I'm a banker working in London, and in this video, I'm going to go over the most frequently asked questions I get on my YouTube channel when I attend networking events and also in person. So hopefully you enjoy this video and let's get started. And this video, I'm going to cover salary and hours, life after investment banking, what subject to study to land a job at a top investment bank, moving from the front office to the back office, and also what my route into investment banking was and how you can benefit from that. Let's go into salary and hours, and I'll touch on the salary bit first. The first and most important thing to know is if you work in the front office part of the investment bank, you will earn more than your back office counterpart, all the way from the analyst level all the way to MD level. And I've done in-depth videos about investment banking salaries, and the latest data we have from the article released by eFinancial Careers shows that if you work for a top investment bank as a first-year analyst, the lowest salary you can take home is £60,000, and that doesn't include your bonus. Your bonus can range from more or less 15% of your base salary all the way to 1 times your base salary. So as a first-year analyst working for a top investment bank, you could probably expect to earn around £85,000 total compensation, and that increases exponentially as you go from analyst, associate, VP, ED, MD. So as you can see, investment banking is a very lucrative job path, and this is for if you work in the front office. I also did a video a couple of months ago about the pay if you work in risk, treasury, finance. The main takeaway should be if you work for an investment bank, regardless of what division it is, if you're a first year analyst, you're going to make a lot more than most people working in EY, KPMG, PwC, most of those big consulting firms you look up to. Even if you work in operations in an investment bank, you probably earn more than them, because I know for sure if you work in KPMG or EY as a grad, first year grad, you earn just 24K, which honestly is a piss take. If you work for an investment bank, I can almost guarantee it's not 22K. That I can guarantee is definitely not 22K. And also when it comes to bonus, most people's bonuses are influenced by, first of all, how the bank performed that year. So all things being equal, if the bank had less revenue, your bonus might come down. It doesn't have to, but more times than not, it might come down. So for example, during C20 or when banks didn't make a lot of money, most bankers' bonuses were slashed, and that will be the case. The other thing that influences your bonus for some banks is how your team performs. So if you're an ECM, DCM, and then ECM, if, for example, you're in consumer and healthcare and that year you had a great year, then your bonus would also reflect that. And now, the one thing that's really in your control is your performance. If you work for a top investment bank, working there is intense because you know from the jump you're being judged, and literally how you perform is intimately tied to the money you receive at the end of the year. So most people will literally try and outperform everyone and try to show up because they know if I perform very well, I will get a bonus, which is a good or bad thing when working for an investment bank, because if you know if you perform well, you get a bonus, then you know that hard work is more than likely rewarded. But in the same breath, you want to also kill yourself just to get a good bonus, which, you know, might not be everyone's cup of tea. Now let's talk about the hours. And you'd have seen so many articles saying investment bankers work long hours, and yes, it's true. And actually something people don't highlight is if you work for any division in a top investment bank, you're more than likely be working long hours. If you're working in front office, if you're working in credit risk, more times than not, if there's no deals happening or there's no real live transaction, then your hours don't tend to be crazy. And by crazy, I mean working past 9 p.m. or 8 p.m., which to some people is like 8 p.m. is late. But to me, if you don't work past 8 p.m., 9 p.m., then it's fine. And more times than not, how late you work is honestly, if there's no live deal, based on how you manage your workload. When you work for a top investment bank and also depend on your manager, people don't really tightly manage how you get the work done. Just get the work done. That's what most people care about. If you get the work done within the deadline, then that's all that matters. And yes, sometimes you might have to work on the weekends. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's because it's a live deal and that needs to be pushed through the deadline. Now let's go into life after investment banking. What are the exit opportunities? A lot of people want to join an investment bank, so eventually, like most people do, when it gets to associate, they literally leave straight into a PE firm or a hedge fund. But how realistic is it? Is this something you should do? Most people want to go into PE or hedge funds just because of one reason only, and because of higher pay. Depending on what team you work for an investment bank, if you're an ECM or M&A, it's more than likely moving into private equity is a more suitable route than trying to join a hedge fund. Most people that work for hedge funds tend to be people that work in sales and trading, because as a hedge fund, you're also trying to sell products to a client, or you also want to be a portfolio manager. So more times than not, if you're in ECM, M&A, your route is into private equity. If you're in sales and trading, your route is into hedge funds, and both are good career paths. And honestly, the move is just for more money, an extra 30K, 40K. And also people tend to move to PE firms because they think there's more of a work-life balance. Like honestly, if you work an intense job or you work in finance, there's no work-life balance. Like no one should be under that illusion. You're going to be working long hours. If you finish at 7 versus 9, an extra 2 hours, maybe that's worth the move. But in all honesty, more times than not, it's not really. You might have less hours when you initially join, but then once you get up to breast with stuff, the work starts coming in quickly. Now let's talk about going to university. In my most recent video, I made it clear that the university you go to doesn't impact your chances of landing a job at an investment bank directly. Now, there's correlation and there's causation. I've explained this in a lot of detail. If you went to Cambridge or Oxford versus someone that went to Coventry or, I don't know, Birmingham University, sorry to pick on these universities. Even to Cambridge and Oxford, there are a lot of factors that are already on your side. Number one, you probably have a higher IQ than someone that went to Coventry. You probably have better grades, so you're smarter as well. Number three, you probably have a good career services because you pay a lot more for fees if you're international, or just in general, the school can pump a lot of money into the career services. You probably have access to a larger and more qualified alumni network, because more times than not, those people that went to Oxford, Cambridge end up being politicians, bankers, lawyers, so you can actually get a lot of insight directly from them. So there's a lot of different factors that go into why people that went to Oxford and Cambridge end up landing those top banking roles. And it's not because of that university itself is on their CV, it's just because of all those factors I just mentioned. Now, in terms of subject to study, what will put you at a better advantage trying to land a job? What exactly is investment banking? It is helping companies and governments raise funds in the capital market. So from that definition, you should know that number one, you need to be able to analyze balance sheets. I need to have some sort of macro knowledge, and also with the way the world is going, you need to have some sort of digital expertise. What do I mean by that? The best degree to study will be something like accounting and finance with a minor in computer science, or just finance, or just economics, or just even math and finance. More or less, you want a degree that exposes you to accounting concepts, finance concepts, and also some sort of coding like Python, because most banks right now, I'm ensuring that most of the analysts can code in some sort of Python language. Now, this is another question I get asked quite a bit: how to move from back office to front office. And it's a very hard question to answer sometimes, because, like, again, probability versus possibility. Is it possible? 100%. People have done it so many times, but more people have failed trying to do it. And it's because it's very hard. Trying to land a front office job is very hard. I have a friend, Tolu. She moved from Deloitte doing tax or audit or whatever to a banking role, and she currently works in infrastructure project finance or something like that. I probably butchered it, but it took her a lot of work. And the main thing here is you need to really be actively trying to move. You need to be speaking to people, speaking to different teams, and seeing what team, number one, has the headcount to accommodate you. Number two, you need to find a way to show that manager, that VP, that associate that you, although not working in that current team, you do have the skills necessary for that role. And this is very hard. What most people do, or what my friend did, was she literally applied for off-cycle internships. She got an internship at a specific investment bank. She quit her job, her full-time job at Deloitte, and took the risk to try and land that front office role. And honestly, that is the most, in my opinion, feasible way to transition from back office to front office. Now, let's say, for example, you're currently working for Goldman Sachs and you're currently working in operations and you want to move into ECM. What can you do? The first thing you should do is speak to the analysts and associates in ECM in that team you want to move to. So let's say, for example, it's TMT. You speak to the TMT people and find out what they do, who the clients are, and all of that. And also get a feel from them if they're actually looking for a new analyst or a new associate, because honestly, they're not going to make room for you. If there's no room there or they don't want anyone, there's no point trying to speak to them and find out what's going on. There's no room for you, there's not going to happen. So speak to analysts, speak to associates. If you find out that they're actually looking to hire someone, then speak to the manager. At this point, you already know what the team does. So you're speaking to the manager, trying to show the manager that, you know what, I know what the team does. I'm very competent. I have a master's in finance. I have a CFA. I can perform this role. Give me a chance. And more times than not, the manager might give you a chance. But the reason why people are not able to move from back office to front office is just because of the competition. If I was hiring for someone, you should hire the best person for the role. But let's be honest here. If you're in a back office position, you want to move to front office, you have to be exceptional, because people that already have the front office experience will more than likely be able to show me that they can perform that role better. Okay, the next topic will be how do I actually get into investment banking. So for me, my route wasn't straightforward at all. Like, it was a very convoluted route. I studied finance at university. I interned at a small Nigerian bank during my placement year. I then went on to do a master's in finance. So that's already like more or less 4 years or 5 years gone. After my master's in finance, I then worked or interned for the biggest Canadian bank in the world. After that, I then went on to work for a credit research or equity research firm, working there for like a month. I then landed a job at the biggest bank in the world. So as you can see, my route wasn't straightforward. Most people after university, I know it's not real, they probably hang on their boots. But for me, I went on to do a master's because I knew by doing a master's, there's no direct causation effect. It's more of a correlation thing. By doing a master's, you're able to get that in-depth finance and banking knowledge, which you can then show during the interview process. So that's why I did a master's, and that's why I actually semi-encourage people to do one. Don't think by doing one, you're gonna get a job straight away. It's just by doing one and actually learning, be able to show off in the interview that you have a lot of finance and banking knowledge. So thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you actually enjoyed that. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you in the next one. And put in the comments below what topics you want me to talk about. Honestly, I'm enjoying putting out content, so just let me know in the comments what you want to see, and I'll see you in the next video.